Hello, and welcome back to the Pure Nintendo Podcast. This is your weekly dose of all things Nintendo. My name is Gemma, and joining me this week, I have the one and only Kirk. Welcome back.
Hey, how you doing? How's everyone doing?
Yes, how is everyone? Hope our listeners are doing well. Without Trev this week, we can pretty much assume a 65% fewer Simpsons references this week. So sorry about
Hey, no, it's all fair.
that.
Eventually, we'll get someone on here who can help me with Godzilla and Tron references.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I still need to watch Godzilla 1. You must be very disappointed I still haven't got around to seeing that. I want to.
Oh,
I will.
yeah, it's on Netflix here. Although
Yes.
I think I heard the subtitling isn't as good. But I've got the 4K coming from Japan. I bought the Japanese release 4K that they're putting out, which apparently is it's the same as it is the Japanese version. They literally just added the English subtitles,
Okay.
and that's different from the official U.S. release in that I get the black and white version, Godzilla
Oh,
-1 minus color.
cool. That sounds very exciting.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'll be all over that when that arrives, and I'll now quit talking about Godzilla.
Okay.
I've taken up our Simpsons time with Godzilla, and we can now move on.
Okay, thank you. We have quite a packed show. It's been a busy week, and we have lots to talk about, including upcoming PAX West. We've got a few kind of little sad type announcements with games being delayed or other sort of similar situations. Plenty of games that we're playing to talk about. Very excited about some of those. And of course, during the week, there was a Nintendo Direct, a very surprise, very sudden, very short Nintendo Direct, and a very specific content. So, not about games or the Switch 2 or anything like that. It was all about the Nintendo Museum. So, the Nintendo Museum Direct, I think it dropped on, I think it was Tuesday for me. So, I don't know what day that was in the US, but earlier in the week. And it's about a 13-minute video, and it's hosted by Shigeru Miyamoto, which I think is perfect for this. So essentially, he took us through a tour of what is going to be the Nintendo Museum in Kyoto. It opens on October the 2nd. It looks, of course, awesome, as you can probably imagine. I was wondering what it would be like in terms of whether it would be, museums can be very static, just looking at things and reading displays, whatever. This looks, as you could probably guess with Nintendo, quite interactive. Very interactive, in fact. And so Miyamoto-san took us through a few rooms and some of the history of Nintendo. So I love the fact that this is not just about Nintendo's gaming history, which goes back to the 70s. And he started in around 77, I think he said. And I wanted to let you know, Kirk, that I've been with Pure Nintendo for 10 years now. Did you know that? This year is my 10th year.
We
Just
should have
realized
an
that.
anniversary party. Why?
We should.
Why are we
Yes.
not gathering in the break room?
I know. I know. I just thought of that this morning. I'm like, hey, I'm like Miyamoto. I'm dedicated. I
Well,
haven't got,
congratulations.
thank you. I mean, he's got almost 50 years on him, but
Well,
yes. He's an inspiration to us all. I was thinking, here's a Simpsons reference for you, though. Have you seen the episode where Homer tries to be like Thomas Edison, the inventor?
I
And he
don't
has a little,
believe so.
oh, he has a chart on the wall with Thomas Edison, and he's right at the end of the chart with all his inventions, and Homer's at the beginning because he wants to be an inventor just like him. I'm thinking I have a chart with Miyamoto at the top, and I'm at the bottom. I've created 0 blockbuster games so far. So
Yeah,
we'll
isn't that
see.
like a little? It sets the goals kind of too far out of your reach and just
Yeah, a little
dampens the
bit.
spirits. Like
A little
like
bit.
listening
Yeah.
to Eddie Van Halen when you're learning to play guitar and saying, "Nope, can't do it. Put it away."
Yes, exactly. Yes. So I won't do that. But yes, the museum. So when you go in, you get a little card, I think there's different themes, but they definitely showed an 8-bit Mario card. And this has some sort of coin counter on it or a number of coins. It comes with a number of coins. And you use these cards you tap on in certain rooms to do certain activities. And apparently, I don't think this was mentioned in the direct, but I did look up on their website later. There's a limited number of coins. I don't know what the number is. It could be 5 or 10, whatever. It's not enough to do everything in the museum, encouraging repeat visits, I suppose. But as I was saying, it's not just about Nintendo's gaming history. Nintendo, the company, has been around since, was it 1889? they said on the video. So well over 100
Um,
years.
yeah, I think I knew that with playing cards, right? Is that where they
Yes.
started?
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm. And so they talk about that in the museum as well. You can even I think there's a section where you can make your own cards, in the same style that they use, and you can play the game, whatever this game is. I don't know what it is. It's a Japanese card game. You can play the game in the museum. Um, and then they did move in like, they've always made family-friendly kind of, games or toys. So they in this kind of '70s, they were making I think they have this he shows off like a little it's like a little baseball, and this little machine shoots balls at you like ping pong balls, and you whack them with your baseball. And so Miyamoto, he demonstrates that in a room, and this is where you tap on with your card, and you whack the ball and try to hit areas of the room, and things move based on where you hit. So there's Goombas. It looks like a he said it looks like a room from the '70s, like a Japanese lounge room from the '70s. They've gone to a lot of effort. Like it looks pretty cool. And then depending where you hit the ball, things happen, like things move, whatever. There's little Pikmins in there too. I think Kirk, my son spotted those little Pikmin vases that I have. That
Okay.
yeah,
Good.
they're cool. I don't know what happens if you hit them though. They might break. So that's I don't know what they've done there. Um,
Well, but then you can build a bridge with them.
yes, yes, there you go. See, that's the sort of thinking we need. Uh, you're gonna move up the scale of games before me. I think. So, yeah, it looks very interactive, very fun. Of course, they do have a gaming, it's not just about pre-game Nintendo, it's also about, the Famicom. They talked about that a lot. And in true Nintendo fashion, of course, you can play old games. You can play, I think they said up to the Wii, I believe. Yeah, pretty sure it was the Wii. So Famicom up to Wii era games can be played. The twist is, and of course Nintendo has a twist. The twist is you play on giant controls that are, I don't know how many feet they would be, at least a meter long though, whatever that is in feet. Is that like 2 feet maybe? They're pretty big.
It's about three,
3?
close to
You
three.
can't
Yeah.
yeah, okay. You kinda need to be like, the idea is one person would like, if you're looking at a Famicom control, one person's using the D-pad and the other person's doing, like, the A and the B buttons. So he demoed playing Mario, like Super Mario Brothers, the original game on the Famicom, and he was doing the D-pad, like, running, and this Nintendo museum staff member was doing the B and A buttons, and she was jumping and running on behalf of Miyamoto. So it's like they've got these giant Wii controls in the background you can see, and it's like, "Whoa, that's just insane." I'm not sure if you can speedrun a level as a duo, but that's the fun of it, I guess, right? Like, this is meant to be something different and unique. And so, um, thoughts so far?
Well, it sounds like it'd be a fun place to go. I'm wondering if they have like a some kind of 3D exhibit so you could live like a full 3D virtual boy.
I wondered that too. They didn't mention the virtual boy, but it has to be there in some capacity, right? For sure. It's part of Nintendo's
Okay.
history,
Right.
albeit a very short, unsuccessful one. But only because it was kind of ahead of its time, and it, obviously had issues. But it was still a pretty phenomenal piece of hardware, and
Yeah.
it'd have to be there for sure. They did mention that. He mentioned several times that this is just a glimpse, like the video, because it's only 13 minutes. This is just a glimpse of what is on display. And he mentioned several floors, at least 2 levels of this building. So it's not just one level. The other cool thing was it's on the site of Nintendo's old headquarters where they used to make the cards, I believe it was. And I think even where they did testing for Famicom games. So Miyamoto himself used to be in this vicinity. Obviously, they've knocked down the buildings or whatever and created this new building in that space. But it's where it's part of Nintendo's history. Even the location is part of the history, which I think is a really cool tie-in, really neat little thing to kind of have as part of their history as well. I don't know how far it is from Nintendo's current headquarters in Kyoto, but that's just a building, an office building
Yeah.
anyway. So this is way more fun. Um, and I did look up tickets. I think you'll find this interesting. I'm sure you remember me talking about how hard it is to get tickets to anything in Japan. I
Yes.
see. Yes, because I was there earlier this year, not at the museum, just in Japan. And it's just they have a really quirky system with tickets. So, for example, to get into the Studio Ghibli Museum on the 10th of the month, you have to try to buy tickets for the following month. So I was going in April. So on the 10th of March, I jumped online to try and get tickets for when I'd be there in April. Couldn't get them. They're sold out. Same with the Pokemon Cafe. They their their system is you have to get online 40 days before you're going, exactly 40 days, and opens up at 6 p.m. Japanese time. So I'm jumping online at it's 7 p.m. in Australia, or Brisbane. So I jumped online at 7 p.m. 3 nights in a row. The 3 nights is going to be in Tokyo, 40 days in advance. Tickets sold out every time, so I didn't get to go to that. So the Nintendo Museum has another unique slash quirky system. They have some kind of draw. So you put down, I can't remember the exact date, sorry, but it's like 2 or 3 months in advance. You put down, there's a window, like a month or whatever. It's on the website. I can't remember the details, but you say you want to go in July. It's back in maybe April. You go online and say, I want to go in July. I want to go on July 15th. And you've got like a month to put down your preferred dates or something like that. And then after a month, they make a draw, like it's like a lottery. So you either get chosen or you don't. And then from that point until July 15th, whatever it is, for the remaining month or two, whatever that period is, then you can buy tickets. So it's kind of easier, but also if the lottery fills, then you just have no hope. You just get no tickets. I don't know what the capacity is. I don't know. It's going to be very busy, I assume, especially when it first opens. But don't be disappointed if you can't get tickets. They do have a very interesting ticketing system. So just be aware of that. Get it in advance if you can, definitely. Yeah.
I'm assuming that part of that is because if they have so many interactive exhibits, then it's going to be very slow to get through it. So they're not just going to let anybody in because then you could be waiting as long as you do for everything at Super Nintendo World.
Yes. Yes,
Um,
exactly. Hmm.
but I also I wonder if this, and maybe we discussed this before, but the complexity of the ordering system and the randomness of when you get to go helps to make sure that locals and people living in Japan, it's easier for them to get in than tourists who come in and
Mm.
just kind of like take everything
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
over. So, and if so, I
Could be
applaud
it.
that as well.
Yeah, definitely, especially Kyoto. I know Kyoto has, um, I don't want to call it a problem, but it is a bit of a tourist problem. Like they have a lot of tourists, and I know it is affecting like their travel, like their buses get overcrowded, and the
Mm.
locals catch buses, for example. So I know they're doing things to try to mitigate that. So that could be a very good reason. Yeah. Anyway, I love Japan. I think if you haven't been, you should definitely go. It's a fantastic country to visit. I can't wait to go back. I'm going to take my kids again in a couple of years for sure. We're already talking about it. Probably not next year, maybe the year after. Hopefully, we'll see how we go. And so I will certainly be trying to get into the Nintendo Museum when I do. Any other kind of questions or comments on the Nintendo Museum from you, Kirk?
Yep. I don't think so. Not until we get word that Pure Nintendo's flying us out to cover the opening.
Yes, that was yeah, for sure. Surprise!
Yep.
That would be awesome. That would be
Surprise,
very cool.
Justin.
Yes, and we all get to go, so yeah.
Yeah, the entire
It's
staff. Yeah, I think
it's
it's
just
great.
not yeah,
Team
it's just not
building exercise.
yes, exactly, and it's just not fair otherwise because, who would get to go? That wouldn't be fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Everyone's welcome.
And yeah, exactly. All right, well, let's so, I'll put the video into the YouTube, of course, you will have seen it as we're talking, but yeah, you can just go to Nintendo America, if you wanted to search on YouTube for the actual direct, if you haven't seen it, and just check out what the museum looks like. If you're planning to go or if you somehow I don't know if tickets I think tickets for October would be, oh, it's a lottery. If you've gone into the lottery, let us know. And then, in future, if you do manage to get a ticket, please let us know that as well. Let's move on to PAX West, which is coming up. It's going to start on August the 30th and runs until September the 2nd. So that's very, very soon. And the reason I wanted to bring this up was because Nintendo will be present and they're having playable versions of upcoming games like The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, as well as Super Mario Party Jamboree, which is really cool. So both games aren't or won't be out when this event is on. I think Echoes of Wisdom comes out later in September, and then Mario Party Jamboree is in October. So it's a good opportunity to kind of try these games before they're actually released. And I imagine they'll be like similar to a demo where it'll be like a level or a section, kind of like what they did with Super Mario Wonder last year. That was playable before the fact, and you could kind of, I think you could play 3 levels in Super Mario Wonder. So I think the Mario Party Jamboree example, I think it's you get to try a bunch of mini games as opposed to a board game. I'm not sure about Echoes of Wisdom. I imagine you'll have like a 10-minute time limit or something like that, which should be very interesting. So I mean, for me, I guess when PAX Australia comes around in October, obviously Echoes of Wisdom will be out, but I'm hoping it will be, well, it should definitely be playable there as well. And then Mario Party won't be out by that time. So hopefully I'll get to try it there as well, a little bit ahead of time. Um, yeah. Any comments on that from you, Kirk? I feel like I don't want to take over. So you just
Oh no, no, take over by all
take
means.
over.
Yeah, I'm happy that Nintendo's participating
Hmm.
in PAX. You know, we lament the loss of some of the other trade shows and the
Mm.
ones that are still there, Nintendo not participating in. So I think it's great. I've never been to a PAX, and I should remedy that, especially you know, the one in Seattle, because that's where my football team is.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I was going to say, because I thought that was the case, that you hadn't been. Why aren't you going? You should go next year.
Well, ironically, I am going to Seattle the following month. I'll be there October
Oh, okay.
6th for a Seahawks game for the first
Right.
time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we just need to we need to connect them two so that we can, you know,
Yes.
they can happen at the same time. But the schedule
Mm.
didn't work out that way this time.
Yeah. Well, hopefully next year, because that would be awesome, I
Yeah,
think, to get, yeah, to go. They also have playable versions, well, sort of competitions, I guess, of Star Wars Hunters and Nintendo World Championships NES Edition, which kind of makes sense, especially the latter, because that's a Nintendo game and it's obviously about competitions. Star Wars Hunters, I'm surprised. It's not a Nintendo game, but it's obviously on the Switch. And it's super fun. I love Star Wars Hunters, as I've mentioned many times. And having that as a kind of uh, a playable competitive side is really cool. And I think because it's 4-on-4 brawling, I'm not sure how that's going to work in a local environment because that, when you play at home, you're just playing online. You know, I'm not sure what the setup will be like, but that sounds really interesting to me. And I hope they do that something similar also in Australia when I go to PAX in
yeah.
October because I'd love to see how that works and I'd love to participate and be beaten terribly because I'm not very good. But it's all a lot of
Was
fun.
Nintendo at PAX Australia last year?
They were,
Okay,
yes, yes. They had a very big presence. They had Mario Wonder, they had Pokemon Violet and Scarlet in terms of the DLC that was coming out that came out after the event. So that was another big thing they had. And then they had lots of like, Pikmin 4s, Tears of the Kingdom. Um, those are the bigger new games, Mario Wonder and Pokemon, but they had lots of other games on display. Sonic, there was what's that Sonic game that was out? Oh, that was Sega actually. Sorry, it wasn't in the Nintendo section. Prince of Persia was there, which was that didn't come out till January, so that was a few months ahead of its time. Yeah, there was quite a bit there. So Nintendo Australia was there. Quite a big, yeah, they had really big display. They had a shop there as well, like a little Nintendo pop-up shop that you could buy,
sure,
t-shirts and whatnot. Yeah, and you could get a little free badge just by showing. I think when you went in, you just logged in on your phone to your Nintendo account, my Nintendo account, and they scanned it, and you got a free Mario pin, which was really cool as well. So yeah, definitely were there last year. They're at PAX West, so I'm really, really hoping, fingers crossed, they're going to be in Australia, in Melbourne in October. Would make me very happy. But I thought you'd be interested also that NIS America has a fairly big presence at PAX West.
I
With an
would
Yeah,
definitely be hanging out there for quite some time.
yes, that's what I thought. See, you should be there for this. Because I saw the list of games, and I'm like, oh, I know a lot of these because you talk about them. So, do you have anything to say about this particular list?
Well, I would certainly try to spend as much time as I could with Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak 2. I'm really looking forward to that, having completed the first one. The
Hmm.
first Trails Through Daybreak just recently came out and we reviewed it.
When does the second
Um,
one come out?
I think is it January or just early? I can't remember. I know it's in 2025. I can't remember if they specified the exact date.
So it's quite a few months off. So
Yeah.
that's a good opportunity to play it or see it or whatever it
Yes.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. And there are two other games on here that are coming out within the next month or two. I think September and
Hmm.
October for East 10 Nordics, which we talked about recently, and Renatus, which I had a Discord demo with NIS America just this week to go over that
Awesome.
game and get some gameplay video and some more details on the game. We're not allowed to discuss it yet. That information. The This podcast will go live before the embargo for that lifts, but check us out on August 28th, and I will have my traditional bullet point impressions of the demo and what we could look forward to with that game.
Excellent. Can't wait to read that one. And yes, Ease X or Ease 10, I suppose, is how you say it. Sorry. Ease 10 Nordics. Yes, you went through that recently. That looks really neat as well. When I saw the footage, because you shared it with me for the podcast when you talked about it, it looks lovely with the sailing aspect or the ship,
Mhm.
aspect, and the islands that you go and visit. Yeah, that looks really neat. Do you know this other one on the list, Phantom Brave, The Lost Hero? Have you heard of that one at all?
I know it only from the press releases,
Hmm.
so I don't have as much detail on that yet, and they haven't had any sort of media event that I know of. Maybe they have, and we just didn't participate.
Hmm.
But I will certainly be looking into it because it's rare. I can't think of a single time NIS America put off a game that I played or reviewed and wasn't happy with it.
Yeah. That's what I thought. So that looks like it could be another another one to look out for. Yeah, excellent. So if you're heading to PAX West, listeners, let us know. We would love to know what you're planning to do there and yeah, how the event goes. Of course, we'd love to be there, but we're not. But we still will cover it in terms of any announcements or anything exciting that happens out of the event. Anything else to do with PAX West before we move on, Kirk?
Nope. Let's move on.
Nope. Okay. So there was an announcement during the week that the, I guess, highly anticipated Fantasy Life I has been delayed, which is really sad. And it was originally coming out, well, I say originally, I'm not sure, I didn't even remember this, Kirk, but it was meant to come out in 2023 and then it was delayed. So it's already been delayed a whole year. And now it was due to come out on the 10th of October, which is only, 6 or so weeks away. Nintendo tweeted a little update. Do we still say tweeted? They X'd? I don't know. It's,
Yeah,
they
tweeted.
posted, yeah. They posted that we regret to announce that the planned release of Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time for Nintendo Switch has been delayed. They don't have a new date at this point. They said more information about the new release date will be announced in the future. So if you were looking forward to that, which I think a lot of people are, unfortunately, that we have to wait a little bit longer. Whether that's because I don't even know whether it's because they were holding him off for the next system or there's just issues with the game. I mean, Fantasy Life, the original in the 3DS was such a lovely game and big game in terms of it looked lovely. It also had, so many roles that you could play. Developing it, I imagine, was quite an extensive process. So I don't know if it's to do with that and they're just trying to tweak things, whether there's issues with some of the testing, I'm not sure. Is that one that was on your radar at all? Kirk?
It wasn't, but only because I'm not fully familiar with it yet.
Mhm.
So yeah, closer to release, once I see more information on it, maybe it could hop on. But um,
Mm, yeah.
when you mentioned it, it took me a minute to remember what it was. So
Right.
my apologies to everyone who's really looking forward to it and thinking I'm an imbecile, but
No, you
no,
can't keep across everything,
that's
honestly.
true.
I'd never heard of Renatus before today, so we all have our specialties, and I mean, I'm aware of Fantasy Life simply because I did really enjoy the 3DS one. I remember
Okay.
Kit and Krista, back when they did the Nintendo Minute show, they played it on the show. And, so they showed everyone a demo of the game and how it worked and got everyone really excited. And so, yeah, I went out and bought it and really enjoyed it. I can't remember how many classes there are, like 7 or 9 or something. You can choose, you can change between them. And there are some that are like, fighting classes, like a warrior or a magician or something. And then there's some that's like fishing, like a fisherman or I don't know, a chef or something. I can't remember the exact names. It's been a while since I played it, but it was very diverse in terms of what you could choose. And you could just stick with one and level up, because it's an RPG. So you do level up as you go, and there's enemies to fight, but there's also, recipes to learn. It was a really good balance of, I guess, an RPG with sim elements. So, because I'm not really a sim player per se, but when it's balanced that way, kind of like why I really enjoyed Fae Farm, I guess, because it really balanced those elements nicely. So it's not too sim like, and it's not, I do love RPGs, but it also is not fully RPG. So for those people who aren't super invested or don't have the time to be invested in RPGs, it has a nice balance, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, bit of a shame that it's been delayed. We'll see when it's going to come out next. I don't know now if it will be this year. It might not be till 2025 at this point, but we'll see.
Yeah, it
I
seems weird that they didn't include any information on when to expect it, so much as it was supposed to come out this day and now it's not. And that's kind of it.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder. I do think there's plenty of rumors, and I think Nintendo does tend to have a direct in September anyway. So we might find out something in the next Nintendo Direct, like a proper game-based Direct. I think we can expect one probably sometime in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Do you think?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope so.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so too. And of course, we're all wondering when they're going to talk about the Switch successor, but we won't get into that now. Um, the other kind of, I guess, disappointing news for players is that Animal Crossing Pocket Camp has received a bit of an update as well in terms of it's ending its service on November the 28th. So we thought we'd just talk a little bit about this because Nintendo, they've dipped their toe into the world of mobile gaming. Along the way they've had some successes, and then some, I guess, I don't know if I want to use the word failures, but they've obviously taken some things down over time, like Dr. Mario is no
Hmm.
longer available. You can't play that anymore. Um, so what's happening with Animal Crossing Pocket Camp? Kirk, do you know the details about what's ending?
Well, they've announced that the end of service is going to be November 28th.
Mhm.
Um, well, what did they say here? They're on the announcement that they put up. They say that you should also know we are developing a version of Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. Users can continue to play with their existing save data.
Mm,
And
mhm.
they're going to share more details on that in October. So it sounds like if you are a fan, you get to keep going with it. But as I don't play the game, so I don't know what new content is being pushed through to players. But I'm guessing that that is going to end at least in some capacity.
Yeah. So I guess there's some online component. Yeah, that I don't know. Again, like you, I have played it. I downloaded it when it first came out. I did jump on and play it for a little bit. I haven't played it in years. I'm not even sure when it came out now, to come to think of it. But it was one of the earlier
Yeah,
mobile releases from Nintendo. So I guess, it's one of those good news, bad news situations. Bad news is they're going to, end this kind of online service that relates to Pocket Camp. But the good news is there will be an offline version, so you can still enjoy it in some capacity. Oh, 2017 it launched, so it's actually been a fair while. It's been seven
yeah,
7 years, which is pretty cool. And they didn't do that with Dr. Mario, which I would have actually enjoyed because I really liked that game. I played that was a mobile game I actually played a lot of. So
yeah. I
anyway.
think depending on the game, there are a lot of a lot of mobile games I don't play specifically because there is online like daily or weekly content that
Mm,
to
mhm.
me, depending on the game, just gets in the way of the overall experience.
Yeah.
If you just make it all offline and it's like, say, an RPG, what was the dragon game that they had that they stopped? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah. Uh, I've
Yeah,
also forgotten, even though we just talked about it before the show, I've already
yeah,
forgotten.
yeah. But because I played a little bit of that, and I thought if this was just an adventure that I could go on and it would end, I would be
Mm.
so happy. But because it's not, I quit playing.
Oh,
Um,
Dragalia Lost. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's it.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think maybe I did that because there was a crossover with something. It might have been a Fire Emblem cross. Oh, but Fire Emblem Heroes, that's still
Mhm.
going.
That's
Um,
good. Yeah.
because I play that daily, and I will tell you when they announce that they're shutting that down, I'll be okay with it. I
Okay.
mean, I really like it and I play it every day, but the moment Nintendo says you can't play it anymore, I will be ready to move on. Does
Yeah, okay.
that make sense?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's not yeah. No, I do get that. Um, I mean, Super Mario Run is still a thing. I don't know how popular it is, but it's still going. Mario Kart Tour is still going, although they don't I think they no longer make new tracks. They still do events. There's still lots of characters to collect. I don't know if they're new characters because I haven't been playing it like religiously for the whole time since 2019. I kind of dip in and out. I've been playing a lot more recently, and I played it a lot when it first came out, but I had a couple of years gap there. So for me, although I don't have a lot of the characters, so I'm still happy to keep collecting them. And the tracks, there's so many. I think I've mentioned before. They have all of the tracks that exist in Mario Kart, of which there are, gosh, there's maybe 100. There's so many, right? And
Yeah,
then
yes.
they, yeah, and then they do remixes anyway. So they reverse them all. Then they do these remixes where there's like jumps everywhere and speed boosts and all that sort of thing, which changes them up completely. So I feel it feels fresh. Like they change it I think it's every week they put in new tracks or new competitions, whatever. And so it always feels fresh to me because there's just so many. Anyway, we'll see. I think, you know, mobile games, I don't know where they're going. It's hard, Nintendo, they used to have the handheld division with the DS and the Game Boy, etc., and then they had the console division. They kind of merged that with the Switch. So it's almost like, do they have two divisions now again with mobile and the Switch, which is kind of your console slash, I don't know. But are they really concentrating that hard on mobile? I don't know. It's probably not
Didn't they
a lot of
outsource
money.
some of it? What was I thought there was a company
Oh,
that
they
connected
did.
with like Dina. Was it Dina?
Yeah, yeah, they did actually. Yes. I don't know which games they did that with, but some of them at least. I don't know. But maybe they're just not making money with these games. If it's costing them money, then obviously that's not something they want to do, and I'm sure their shareholders don't approve. So yes, well, time will
Uh,
tell.
yes.
Um, yeah, yeah. I think it's cool that you're still playing Fire Emblem Heroes. I do like that one too, but I haven't dipped in recently. I play Mario Kart. That's my one that I play now.
Yeah.
So I don't even do that every day, but I do try. It does have a daily kind of reward if you do log in every day and play one track. So I do try to do that, but just forget sometimes. I'm also trying to do Wordle every day. I'm trying I'm trying to, do connections every day. I've got
Yeah.
podcasts to do. So it's like, where does Mario Kart fit into that really?
See, and with me, Fire Emblem Heroes is literally the only game I play on my iPhone. Like that's it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't do any of the wordles. I don't do what the other ones my family does. All these, uh, I think the New York Times games now. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
sometimes
That's
help them when they're having trouble with something. Sometimes I
Mhm.
don't help them because I can't. But
Yeah.
yeah, just Fire Emblem Heroes. That's it.
Okay, that's cool. Well, let's move on to games that we're playing this week because we have a nice healthy list here, and I'm really excited to talk about some of them. So I'll begin with the Emio demo because that did come out on the 19th of August. So it wasn't quite in time for our last podcast, but yeah, it came out on the Monday the 19th. So I've been playing it this week. I've finished the demo. The full game is coming out on the 29th of August. Sorry, before I begin, have you had a chance to look at this at all, Kirk?
No, I have not played it.
Okay, that's cool. So it's quite a lengthy demo. I was quite impressed. It's several hours worth, I'd say, maybe 2 hours worth, 1 to 2 hours worth. It's basically the prologue and chapter one and chapter two. I think what they did though was they started with chapter one, and I think they've now added chapter two. It seems like because when I started it, I did the prologue, and then I kind of had to move on to something else. When I went back to the game, there was an update for the demo, which I've not seen before. I thought it was, maybe there was a kind of a glitch or a bug or something they fixed even just in the demo. Didn't think too much about it. Kept playing. Finished chapter one. Finished chapter two. When I finished chapter two, there's a message at the end saying, "Thank you for playing, and also we will update this demo with more content." I'm like, huh, maybe that's why it updated already. They've added more content. That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
So I don't,
I've never seen that in a demo where they give you more
no,
after they
no.
made after they made it available.
No, me neither. No, I haven't. And I think this game really needs a decent length in terms of the demo because it's very story driven. Obviously, it's a point. Well, it's not really a point and click. It's more like a visual novel, but there are point and click elements to it. But you're obviously solving. Well, it's not obvious if you don't know the game, but it is a mystery that you're trying to solve, and you play the role of a young detective. He's not even a detective; he's an assistant detective in this agency. His name's what is his name? That's okay. He has a name. You can name him anyway. I called mine Snoopy for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why.
It's hard to remember names when you're changing them, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was funny. So Snoopy, because it's
No, sure.
kind of
He's snooping around. Absolutely.
yes, thank you. And it's a dark theme. It's MA. I think we've talked about the ratings before. It's MA in Australia, so it's restricted to 15-year-olds. It's obviously the content is about murders, and there's urban legends involved. It's not I haven't seen anything too graphic in the demo. You kind of you see a body, that's got a mask on it or this paper bag kind of situation. So it's dark from that perspective, and obviously it's not meant for young ones who to kind of get deeply involved in. But the style is lovely. It's very anime based, and some visual novels you'll see just have kind of static screens and then text. This is very animated, so it moves. Like the people that talk, their mouths move, their arms move. It's a really well done graphical style. I really appreciate that. It's very colorful, bright, even though it's a dark content. You move from location to location. You start at the scene of the crime. You go to back to your office. You go to the police station. You go to the school. There's a few scenes, and this is only in the first couple of chapters. So you're trying to piece together what's happened. There's police involved, obviously, in this murder, of course, but you've been asked to help out as a private investigator, and there are 3 private investigators. There's the main dude who it's his agency. You play this role of, Snoopy, not Snoopy, my Snoopy. But you also, towards the end of chapter 2, because 'cause you're working very closely with a girl in the agency who's your character is only 19 years old. The girl, I don't know her age, but she's not much older, I don't think. And you get to play as her as well in terms of you split the responsibilities. He goes off to the police station, you kinda do that. Then you find out where she's been. She's been off to the school to talk to some students who knew the kid who was killed. So then you're not really playing as her, you just she's the one asking the questions and you're kinda controlling her doing that, so if that makes sense. It's not like you're walking around or anything like that. It's very much a visual novel, like I said. The mystery is really interesting though, because the murder, and I don't want to give any spoilers away, obviously, but this is the demo and it's just the kind of intro, so it's not really a spoiler, but you know, and it's in the trailer anyway. There's a murder that's happened. There were murders that happened 18 years ago that are very similar, and since then there's an urban legend that sprung out of it. And so the question is this the murderer from 18 years ago because they were never caught? Is this a new kind of copycat murderer? Is it related to the urban legend? Because apparently, those murders from 18 years ago weren't publicly displayed in terms of they didn't really give the details to the public, yet these urban legends sprung somehow. So, yeah, a lot of mystery to solve there. I'm really enjoying it so far. There's a few interactive pieces where you'll get asked at the end of the day to kind of summarize what you've learnt, and it's like a little quiz kind of thing.
Hmm.
Which is nice. And you have a notebook with all the details that you've seen, so you can go back and reflect on that. And yeah, I'm really interested to see where it leads to, and who I don't know who the murderer is. Obviously, at this point, I don't know how many chapters there are, or how long the game is, but yeah, it's coming out very soon on the 29th. I don't know. Hopefully, we'll be reviewing it. But yeah, it's so far very, very well made game. There's lots of, you'll love this as well, Kirk. There's lots of voice work, and it's all in Japanese. So it's a very Japanese feeling game. There's English subtitles, of course, but all of the characters speak in Japanese. So I love that element as well. What else can I say about this? Do you have any questions for me?
I don't. I think it's very much the type of game that I would like to play, and I have been following it. But my
Mm.
problem is that while you were even talking about this, I thought, wait a minute, isn't there an Ace Attorney Investigations Collection demo that's coming
Mm.
out?
Yeah.
And that is now available too for a game that's coming out September 6th. And I
Ah,
thought of
uh-huh.
it because you were talking about investigating the crime scenes. I thought the whole setup and even the way the game looks with the anime inspired characters uh, can't help but remind me of Ace Attorney. And
Mm,
because I'm
mhm.
much more invested in that series, I will do that one first.
Yes. So is there a demo for that? Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, there is.
okay.
Yep,
Nice. Well, I'll definitely have to check that
and
out
your
as well.
progress from the demo carries over, of course. So
Brilliant. Yeah, I believe that's the same with I don't know actually. I would assume it's the same. I don't remember us explicitly seeing that message, but you would hope so. I
yeah,
mean,
would it,
yeah.
it would have, yeah, for a
Yeah.
game like this, it almost has to, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And like I said, you need this lengthy demo to get you invested because it's a story. You really need to get to that mystery. If it's just going to be 10 or 15 or, even half an hour, it's not enough, I don't think, to hook you. But now I'm invested. I'm like, yeah, I want to see what's going on. You've met so many characters. There's the main detective, like police detective, sorry. But there are two other detectives in the police agency that you meet and greet, and one has some association from the past, which I won't get into. The other one is very funny, like just weird and quirky, and you don't know why. He's a very different kind of cop. So there's something going on there. Even in your detective agency, the main dude who runs the agency, he was involved. He was investigating these murders from 18 years ago, as was the main police detective. Like they're kind of older. So they've obviously got an investment. They never caught the guy back then or girl, whatever. They didn't catch the person. So they really want to they really want to find out if it's related and put an end to it. Still very creepy. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that
well
sounds
done.
like a good story. I mean, you know that I
Mm.
like the creepy
Yeah.
and I like
Yeah.
horror kind of things. So yeah, it
Mm.
is a game I'm certainly looking forward to playing. I just have to push it back a bit. It could be
Yeah.
one of my Twilight games.
Yes. Yes, exactly, exactly. All right. Well, I'll move on then to something else. Shall I talk about Cult of the Lamb next then?
Do it.
So I'm surprised I didn't think of this for last week because the update, I didn't get time, I guess, and I didn't realize until after we recorded that Cult of the Lamb, which is a game that I love from 2 years ago. I gave it a review on our website. I think I gave it 9 out of 10. It has a free update and it's introduced co-op, local co-op play. So I went back and played it during the week with my son, the two of us. If you don't know the premise, you're a lamb, you run a cult. Basically, that's it. And there's the sim elements. This is another one of those hybrid kind of games that I love. There's the sim side of creating this cult, and you have followers who have to pray to you and give you devotion points, and that kind of lets you upgrade things. You have to build them beds, and you have to feed them, and all that sort of stuff, as well as build them like a church. It's all there. The other side of it is like a roguelike where you actually go through a dungeon. It's, randomized levels, and at the end, there's a boss. There's collectibles, there's all sorts. And I'm not a huge roguelike fan, but this is really fun. I really like this side of it. And I love that it's not all that. I love that it's like I said earlier, it's balanced. It's got two sides to it. And both sides work really, really well. And the co-op works really, really well. So the co-op adds a new character who's a goat. So there's a lamb and a goat. And I guess to give you a little bit of context, the lamb at the very beginning of the game is being sacrificed to some crazy pagan type of god. And he gets rescued by this really scary looking god who's trapped. And so the lamb is tasked with creating the cult so that he can free this scary looking pagan god who brings you back to life, essentially. That's the kind of plot. So you're working, and each time you go through the dungeons, you're fighting bosses. And then eventually, after 4 rounds, there's four bigwig gods, ancient gods who are keeping this other god prisoner. It's very convoluted. I'm probably losing you there. Sorry. The point is you can play together and it's really, really fun. It's really cute, even though it's very dark and a little bit bloody. And your cult members age and die, and you can sacrifice them and things like that. You don't have to, but you can. Um, it's very cute style though. Like the lamb is he's just think of the most cartoony type of lamb you can think of, and he's there, and the goat as well. And all these characters, you unlock different creatures who come and join your cult. So there's like, you know, a rabbit and like a chicken and a cat. Um, They're all adorable, which is why I don't want to sacrifice them. So you do have that dilemma as well. But there's tasks, there's missions and quests and things like that. And of course, some of them want to be sacrificed. They'll come up to you and go, "Hey, I want to be sacrificed." And so then you're like, "Well, I guess he wants to." So I don't know. There's some moral dilemmas there. It's very fun. It's very, yeah, unique and different. It is a 2-year-old game, but yes, with this update, it really adds another layer to it. Had it had this at the very beginning, I may have even liked it even more, I suppose, at the time. But if you haven't, because I hadn't played it for a little while, so it was nice to jump back in and give it another go. And if you're like me and you did enjoy it at the time, we haven't had a chance to play it yet. Definitely recommend. It's free, as in the game is free, but the update is free. So if you already have the game, it now will update and have this co-op multiplayer aspect to it, which I think is really neat. It's not DLC exactly; it's literally an update to the game. So yeah. Any questions for me on Cult of the Lamb? Did you
I
ever get to
don't think
try
so.
this one?
I did not. I think it's great though for people who have played it. Like there are quite a few games I haven't played in a few years, or a couple
Mm.
years, where an update like that would be fantastic. Like, oh yeah, let's do this again, and then hop back
Mm.
in and get like a completely different style of gameplay, or be able to share it with someone. I think that's great that they did that.
Yeah. And I had a feeling there was a demo, but now I can't seem to see that. Maybe there wasn't. Sorry. I don't want to lie and say there's a demo. I thought there was, but I could be wrong. But definitely a game worth checking out. There is a physical copy available as well, so it's digital and physical. It does have DLC, which I haven't had a chance to try, but there is actually DLC you can get that adds extra things to the game also, which is, I assume you have to pay for that. But yeah, I think, as you said, it's definitely a great thing to do 2 years out from release. Yeah, and the DLC is actually on special at the moment too. It's like $5 if you were interested. Oh, that's in
And
Australia too.
there's,
So.
I know they've been more active with the DLC releases. I think some stuff just came out recently, didn't they?
Yes, there's 3, and you can get it in a bundle, which looks to be 50% off at the moment. I'm not sure when that ends, and this is an Australian price of 13.50, so even cheaper US dollars, under $10, I'd say that would come down to. Um, that's for the Cultist, Heretic, and Sinful Pack bundle. So yeah, you can buy that triple triple pack. Yeah, lots of different options there. The full game, like even the original game, has plenty to do. But yeah, if you've run out of things to do, then oh, you know what? It came out exactly. We're recording on the 23rd for you in America. It came out on the 23rd of August, 2022. It's exactly
Oh,
two
there
years
you
ago.
go.
So there you go. Happy anniversary
Yes.
to Cult of the Lamb. Yeah, they had a presence at PAX Australia last year, actually. I saw them there. They had this really cool looking building, looked very cultist, but also cute. And they had special pins you could buy of these adorable characters. So my kids and I were there and we got one each um, to put on our little lanyards because it was all about collecting the pins at the show.
Sure.
Yeah, we filled up our lanyards. Some were free, some you had to pay for, but we had a nice little collection. Looks like there's even a bee. Some of the DLC does include new animals that you can unlock. There's like a narwhal, it's a tortoise or something, a monkey. It just looks so cute. I love the kind of mishmash of this really dark theme with these adorable animals. It's just such a clash of ideas. I don't know. I don't know who came up with this idea, but it's a great one. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So maybe that's enough of me talking though. Let's move on to Natsu-Mon. I will talk about this as well, but you go first because I played the demo that you mentioned last week and I loved it. But you go first. What's your update on Natsu-Mon 20th Century Summer Kid?
Yes. Although I'm glad you played it. I'm very curious to hear what you think about it. But as I was talking about it last week, I mentioned a few things that were going on with like kind of rambling, or I mean, I probably was rambling. I meant kind of like ambling. Is that the word you're talking? Where you just kind of like sort of meandering? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
There some benefits to that, and something that I eventually got to the point before I wrote the review. I played a lot more of it after talking about it, and there's a circus troupe member who comes in later in the game, and she is also kind of a fortune teller, and you can go to her and she will kind of like give you clues on where to go. So if there's a like something you may not have even found yet, but you will point out there is at the top of this hill, there's a cabin. I want to go talk to someone up there. And I'm like, oh, all right. So it does do a better job of kind of guiding you along. There's still times where you're still the whole thing is just explore. But
Mm.
I spent a day. I went into this mountain, and they gave you like when you look at the map, if there's somebody you can talk to, they show you a little icon of that person's face. So, and you can use that to mark where you want to go. And there was a fella who had been up on top of this high mountain for a long time, and I never tried to get there. And I thought, all right, today I'm going to do this finally.
Yeah.
So I had enough stamina build up. I was able to move around. There are like these little plants that you can sort of like they become springy. So you I don't know if you plant something, you can just kind of walk up to them and hit a button, and then this leafy plant appears and you jump on it and it can shoot you up higher. So I started doing that, and between it all, I got all the way up there, and this guy gave me like this cape. I can't remember the exact name, but it's basically like in Legend of Zelda when you can open up your glider and drift
Oh,
kind of
cool.
around. So I getting that is huge because now it's so much easier to even just move across the rooftops. If there's something that you weren't able to climb on before, now you can go nearby to something that's higher that you can climb and just sort of float down to it. So the game is very approachable in that regard, where it seems like you think, how am I ever going to get up there? And then you're like, okay, you stumble upon this one device. And I don't know if I even mentioned, I found a mystical porta pot um,
No.
on one
Oh.
of the hills. It was just a porta pot. It was sitting there and said, "Do you want to use it?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I better take care of it now." Um, and it whisked me back to like your home base, to the inn where
Oh.
you're staying, which made me mad because you can't go into the restroom there and go back to the porta pot. I had to go all the way back manually to get to where it was. But then I thought, well, on the other hand, if you have to get home by a certain time of day, or you're going to miss your morning exercises.
Mhm, mhm.
So this is a good way to be able to explore and then hurry up and get back. And it's funny. I mean, what else is going to send you across the village other than a porta pot?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's like the more I play it, there's just so much to discover, and it just keeps going. So I would very happy to play the game, get all the way through it.
Excellent. We even had a comment this week, actually, on our video from last week, from our friend Jose Rios, who said he was playing the Natsu-Mon demo based on our podcast last week, because you mentioned it. And he said it's a very interesting and fun game, and it made him buy the full game, and he's glad that he did. So that's really cool. So yes,
Yeah,
thank you
great.
for that comment, and yeah, thank you, Kirk, for obviously letting everyone know that it was such a fun game to try. I went ahead and also tried the demo and really enjoyed it. It's quite a short demo compared to Emio, at least. Very, yeah, actually, it was quite short. You do one day, basically, the first day. You do wake
Oh,
up.
that's hardly anything. Yeah,
I
boy.
know. Yeah, it's very short. You do wake up the next morning and have breakfast, and I think your parents have gone because someone hasn't paid the bills or something.
Yep.
But then that's pretty much
Circus trouble.
it. Yeah, circus trouble. So it gets you into the vibe of the game in terms of the story. And I do have to say, I love the intro. It's like a movie, like with the credits on the screen and the music, and you sort of there's a truck driving, and then the parents stop and say, "This is where we're staying for August." And then you keep driving, and it's like changing scenes as you're watching the truck drive to this new town. Um, yeah, very nice intro, very nice music. I thought, for me, I got Wind Waker vibes because of the cartoony look of it, almost like that cell shaded. The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, like
Yeah,
cartoon Link. Yeah, I think
sure.
you mentioned that last week maybe as well.
Yeah.
And the other
Although
thing,
this is a bit more lo-fi. We'll say this is like lo-fi
yeah,
Wind Waker.
yes, yes. I also got Wonder Years vibes. Do you remember that show with
I
Kevin
do.
Arnold? Yeah,
Yep.
because he talks and it's like he's an adult talking when he's, like, reflecting on stuff. You know how he does
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yeah. Although it's weird because it only pops in every now and again in the game. It's like it's almost
Right.
like when you think that something happens that's more interesting, but then he's like, "So that happened, and I thought this, and let's move on."
Yeah.
Like, "Okay."
Yeah. I also liked the map. I thought that was really neat. It's sort of you can rotate it and move it. You can change the angle a bit. Like you can go down or
Yeah.
up. Like you can look over the top of the map, or you can kind of look a bit more sideways. I thought that was really a neat kind of
Yeah.
touch.
And I'm
Um,
not going to admit how many days into the game I was before I realized that you could rotate that map. Like,
yeah, no, don't. I mean, I yeah, I don't know why I did it. I just did it. And I enjoyed catching bugs and jumping on buildings. I met that detective club, that group of kids
yep.
that's trying to solve mysteries. I think that was your light thing, the path maybe that you mentioned. They said
Yes.
something
Yeah.
about
The
it lighting a
first one
path.
they give you.
Yeah, so I haven't done that because, like, my demo ended, but that I assumed that was the one you were talking about. I was
Yep.
disappointed I didn't get to do a morning of exercise though, because it mentioned it. It said, "Oh, you gotta go to bed before you miss your morning exercise," and I knew that you had mentioned it last week. And so I went to bed, and then I woke up and we had breakfast, and then the game ended. I'm like, "Oh, I didn't get to do the
Yeah. Because,
exercise."
like, literally the next thing you can do is just run right outside and go to the exercises before they all leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. They should have kept that
Oh.
part in.
Yeah, they should have. So, yeah, it's very short demo, but very
Yep.
lovely looking game. Very pure and innocent, I suppose. Like what are you, a 10-year-old kid in countryside Japan? So
Yep.
I think you said last week it's like being in the 80s or something where you just roam around and do what you want during the day.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of set. They say it's set, I think, in the late '80s, but and there may be some visual styles to that, or like the types of things that are available in the town. But I also think a lot of people do that now specifically so they don't have to deal with cell phones.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Yes.
Yeah, just easier to write them out.
Yeah, I think so too. Um, Speaking of cell phones, there was a cell phone element in Emio. You are given a cell phone so you can call people. I haven't used it yet. In the first couple of chapters, you don't really need to. Every time I've gone, because there's a menu and you can choose, interact or whatever. And then I've gone to the cell phone because I don't know what else to do at this point. I'm like, oh, they're not saying anything. I'm not thinking anything. Maybe I'll use the cell phone, and it's like, oh, my battery's dead or something like that. But anyway. Just speaking of cell phones, it's interesting that they do include it sometimes and not others. We've got time for one more game. So, Kirk, what else are you playing this week?
Well, I can talk about another game from Spike Chunsoft, the company that released Natsu-Mon.
Hmm.
I'm playing a game called Bakaru,
Cool.
which is at the Nintendo site, it's described as a Japanese esque wild action game.
Okay.
And I think that's perfect for the description for it. It's a very hyperactive sort of um, action, kind of a platforming game. There are some platform elements, but it mostly centers around action. uh, where you're running around. You're kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Like the mischievous animal, like Tanuki. Is that it?
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Who can become human, and you're helping out this other person as uh, all across Japan in this fictional Japan. The whole country is being taken over by this group of spirits, I guess we'll call them.
Hmm.
They're creating like this weird festival, and you're kind of like breaking it up,
Right. Yep.
more or less. I mean, yeah, it sounds very strange, but you're doing it with like drumsticks. As
Okay.
you're running around fighting all these animals, you're basically beating them with drumsticks. And the way they do it is really cool because if you're hitting something multiple times, you hit the R and L buttons like back and forth,
Hmm.
like you're doing a drum roll.
Right. Cool.
Or you could do a more powerful attack by hitting them both at the same time, or you can hold one of the buttons down and that does a charge attack. So there are just dozens and dozens of very colorful hyperactive enemies that you're going in to fight, um, in these very colorful lands. But there's also a lot of puzzle elements to it, like you get these extra abilities that called henge. I don't know if it's heng license. I'll have to communicate with someone to find out what that is.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But that, as you get these from different characters in the game, you're allowed to use that ability too. And the first one you get, for example, makes you small. I have further to go in the game. I think I've played maybe 7 or 8 levels now. Um, but it gives you the ability to get small so you can sneak into like certain areas that you can't get into otherwise. It's the type of game where at the end you're going to have a bigger fight at the end of each level, but there are also things you can collect along the way, certain challenges that you can meet. So it's possible to collect the level without completing all the challenges. So now you get your replay value to go back. Generally, these kind of action fighting games I'm not really into because I'm not that great at them, but it's not twitchy. It's very much you've just got some basic controls, and the whole thing is figuring out like when to block, who you can even like when it's even useful to attempt to block, which of the
Mm.
special attacks you can use are better. Um, and multiple ways to take them out. For example, there are parts where the enemies are all in a circle kind of moving around, and you can quickly get in the middle of that circle and do your powerful drum attack, and it just kind of like kills them all, shoots them off to the side, and takes care of it. Or hitting L and R, like I mentioned before, for the back and forth attack, you can start a chain. So you hit one, you hit the next button, and it goes to the next enemy. You're kind of like very quickly bouncing around between them all to take care of them.
Cool.
And then on top of that, because we got to get even more bonkers. There are occasional mini games like the one I've done so far, where you hop into. It's kind of like a car, but it's also a dog head, maybe some kind
Yeah.
of robot. I don't know exactly what it is, but you get in it, and now you've got a racing game, sort of like a Mario Kart game, where you're driving. You have to drift in order to get around corners. It's got the acceleration buttons. I don't know what they call it, where you try to hit those and get going. There's even you can go over ramps and do tricks for bonus points. I somehow missed the exact button combination to perform tricks, so I didn't do that once. But I won the race the first time.
Cool.
So it's not terribly difficult. I think only once did I go through a level and die during the level. And then in that case, it sends you back to the beginning. But any of the bonus items that you found, it documents that, so you don't have to go get them again or pull off whatever tricks you need to get them. They're kind of hard to discover. Some are hard to get to, but just this really wonderful high energy action game that I'm having a lot of fun with so far.
Wow. That sounds pretty good. And it looks like it's not out yet, but there is a demo again.
Yeah, well, there you
Uh,
go. Yeah,
so it's out
yeah.
on the
Hopefully,
3rd.
hopefully longer than the last demo Spike
Yeah.
Chunsoft gave us.
Yeah, hopefully. Looks like it's out on the 3rd of September. And if you did pre-order it before then, it looks like there's a 10% discount. And I think there's a little picture of like the screenshots on Nintendo's listing, obviously, but there is a little picture of the main character, and I think I see the dog car thing that you're talking about. This little red, looks like a dog head with 4 yellow
Yes.
legs, like a square shaped kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah.
would be him.
It looks kinda cute. Yeah. The
Yeah,
game does.
it's a
Yeah.
very cute game. The
Mm.
enemies are cute, and it's got a lot of really varied settings.
Yeah.
So just a lot to take in visually over the course of the game.
Cool. And looks like there's more than 50 stages, so you're, you know,
Oh boy.
not you've got a long way to go. You're more than 10% of the way, though. If you're 7 or 8, you're
Yep. Gonna have to dig
yeah.
in more heavily in order to get
Yeah.
the review up when the embargo lifts.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll see if I
Well,
can get
there are
around to
bonus items too. You can pick up.
yeah.
There are like little people you can meet who will sell items to you.
Mhm.
And it's a good variety of items depending on how you play. You're going to be able to find something that will help you the way you prefer to go after, like whether you're enhancing your defense, like you could take a hit without losing a heart one time, or if it gives you more weapons. And you can, if you save up enough money, collect enough coins in the game, then you can buy more hearts. So you get to go longer,
Mm, mhm.
without dying or whatever the alternative is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like all the screenshots he has 5 hearts. Is that what you start with?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
say yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's expensive. If you are saving up your money to buy the additional hearts, then you're sacrificing the ability to get yourself out of a jam on any of the levels.
Mm, mhm. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Look forward to hearing more about that when your review is ready. But yeah, not out till the 3rd of September, that one. So keep an eye on for that one. Anything else you'd like to mention or update us on before we close things off for the week?
Nope, I think we're over an hour. I better shut up.
It goes so fast. It does.
It
I
does.
mean, hopefully, yeah, it does. It feels really fast for us. I don't know how listeners feel, but um, please let us know your thoughts on this episode. We'd love to know what you're playing, and if you have anything you'd like us to discuss, let us know that as well. We really appreciate we really appreciate you. Thank you for listening. So we really appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up on YouTube if you can, and leave us a review on one of the podcasting channels if you're listening on Spotify, etc. We are on social media as well. If you'd like to follow us on one of the platforms such as X/Twitter, Mastodon, or Blue Sky, you can follow us at Pure Nintendo. And we, of course, have our magazine coming out very soon. So if you'd like to jump on board and get yourself a copy, we'd love to send you a printed magazine to get into your hands. It is, you can head on over to patreon.com/Pure Nintendo, and the next issue is due out very, very soon. So look forward to that. And I think that's about it. So until next week, thank you and game on, everybody.